Hello, everyone. I'm just logging on early here just to make sure we don't have any technical difficulties. So far, so good. So we'll just give everybody a few minutes to get in and then I will get started. And thank you for joining tonight. All right. We still have a few minutes to let everybody in, but I'm going to tell the folks who are here, I'm going to give you information ahead of time that I will repeat when everybody else gets in. But I will go through a demonstration here live as soon as everybody gets in at 7:30. And just asking if you have any questions, just reserve those till the end or put them in the chat. And I will answer those at the end. Actually, looks like we have a question already in the chat, so I will pop that open. Well, hello, James. Greetings from Chicago. Hopefully Virginia's got some nice weather. We are finally getting some really good weather. It's a little cold today, but we've had our fair share of some decent days lately. So we definitely won't complain about that. And while we're waiting for everybody else to join, can the folks who are on here, can somebody just drop me a line in the chat and let me know if you can see my screen okay? It should say MemoryWeb demo in the upper left corner, and there's a icon in the middle that says drop your folders here or browse. If somebody could, oh, excellent. Thank you, Scott. Thanks, James. Just want to make sure that we're all set there. This is a new thing, not Zoom itself, but doing it through the portal at RootsTech. So I'm just making sure that everything's working well, but looks like we are all good. So we've just got a couple more minutes. We'll give folks a couple minutes to join us and then we'll get going. And if everybody else who is waiting wants to let me know where you're from, I'm always curious. Love to know where you're from, and also if you've used MemoryWeb before too. That's always helpful to know. Seattle, Washington for Scott. Okay, nice. From Family Search. Excellent. Scranton, Pennsylvania. Okay, cool. James, new to MemoryWeb. Excellent. All right, well, we'll give you, we're going to give you a very specific demo tonight, but you can definitely go and check out things on our booth and learn more about what the product does in general. Teresa from Sandy, Utah. Thanks for joining. Mike and Christelle from Twin Falls, Idaho. Nice. I've never been to Idaho. I would like to go there. All right, it is 7:30 right now, so I'm going to go ahead and start things going, and then if anybody else joins us, then they can just catch on with what we're talking about. So thanks again for joining me tonight. I'm really excited to be part of RootsTech Connect 2022 as part of MemoryWeb. I'm Nancy Desmond, and I am the Chief Memory Officer and co-founder of MemoryWeb. And we're really excited to give you a sneak peek of a feature that is going to be released shortly after the conference is over. So this is something that's not released yet. It's in the final testing stages, but it is a very solid demo to show you right now. And we really are excited about this functionality, so we wanted to give you a sneak peek. And the reason why we've invented this new feature or come up with this new feature is that over the years, as our customers have been using MemoryWeb to manage their photos, they've really told us that managing duplicates has been an issue. And there's so many different reasons why people might have duplicates in their account. Maybe they've uploaded photos that they had stored in like Dropbox and then also on their computer or other sources, and they took the duplicate finder the similarity check off. And so now you have multiple photos. There's just a myriad of reasons why you might have them in there. So we know that that's a problem for everyone. And so we wanted to give you a tool that will actually help you manage those. And it's been in the works for a little while. And one of the reasons why is because it's not just to actually find duplicates, but also to help you manage the metadata. And at MemoryWeb, we're all about metadata. So we thought that that was a really critical factor to give you the capability of taking multiple files and looking at what metadata is contained in them and actually choose the file that you would like to keep and then also merge metadata in. So I'm going to show you actually how to do that right now. So you can see here, we're on the main page of, this is our desktop uploader tool, and we've always had the ability to upload and download photos as part of this tool. And this section here, this find duplicates, is the thing that is new. So I'm going to click on that. And you can see here, the first thing that we're going to encounter is a sliding bar, and it allows us to choose the similarity level that we want to compare. So one thing that I would recommend is once this is released, this feature, when you use it, I would really recommend that the first time you use it, that you choose the 100% similarity level in case you have thousands and thousands of photos in your account. Doing the 100% matching is going to get you a really tight set to work with at first, and then you can always be a lot more relaxed and try to find things that are somewhat similar. Maybe you scan them at a slightly different orientation than the first one, the first version that you scanned, and so it's just a little bit different and you only want one of those files. That's when you want to relax your setting and see if you can find more duplicates like that. So, but for right now, because this is my demo account and I am very familiar with it, I'm going to actually go and make it at 95%, just because I want to make sure that we have a decent amount of duplicates so that I can show you some things. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start the scanning process. And I can tell you that it is going to take about 45 seconds to scan about 3,200 photos here. I've run this lots and lots of times because what we're doing is we're going through each one of the files that are in my MemoryWeb demo account, and we're looking at those to see what looks like a similar photo, and at this 95% level. So we're moving along here, and it will be almost done in just a minute here. And we'll wait for the sliding bar. I could have given us an account that actually only had, a couple hundred photos in it, and it would have given us results in a matter of seconds. But I wanted to show you something that was a little bit more robust. And that's why I'm using our actual demo account with over 3,200 photos in it. So hope you don't mind waiting 45 seconds for it to scan, but I think you're going to see a lot more, useful and helpful information this way. So almost done. We're in the home stretch here. And you can see that our indicator is always going to let you know while it's still thinking, and you have the counter on the top, which is really helpful because that way you know how far you've progressed. And we're almost there. Almost. They'll be wrapping up in just a second. I know the anticipation is killing me too. And then I will be able to show you a whole lot more. Okay, there we are. Excellent. So now you can see at the top as this is loading, we've scanned the 3,200 photos, 3,233 to be specific. We found 13 groups that match at 95% similarity. And so now I'm going to help you get acquainted with what you're seeing here on the page. So there's a few things that you could do. First, at the top, if you weren't happy with the results, let's say you had it at 100% and you only got 2 groups of photos that were matching at that percentage, and you know you have a lot more and you want to be more relaxed in terms of how much they should compare. You want to move it down to maybe like 80% similarity. You could use the scan again button here. I don't want to do that because I'm happy with what we have here. But just to let you know, that's where you could access that feature or that function. You can also see here that we have many groups. We have group 1 that has 3 photos that you can see are very, very similar. They look identical. Same with group 2, group 3, group 4, and then group 5. And then at the very bottom, you can see that you can paginate through each one of the groups to get to all 13 groups of matches. I'm going to stay on here for now. I'm also going to point out here in group 5 that you can see that we have a photo that is definitely a duplicate, but you have one that is in black and white and one of those in color. And the reason why we pick this up as a duplicate is because it's the exact same photo in terms of the actual composition of the photo. It's just, one is in the black and white and one's in color. And so we give you the opportunity to look at those and decide whether or not you would consider one of them a duplicate. In many cases, people would want to have both versions, but if you didn't, you would be able to manage it from here. I'm going to show you also that if you were to go to one of these groups, and you can see here, there's an open button, and I'm going to show you what that does in a second, but you also have something that says delete. So in the case where you scanned your account for duplicates and you found that you actually had some files that were junk files. In my own account, I have lots and lots of test files and screen grabs. And so when I run this on there, I will get those because they're very similar. And I can, because I really don't want those files, they're not ones that I would want to preserve, I could actually just delete all of those from here. So if I were to click that delete button, it's going to make you confirm that. So that you know that if you proceed, all those photos are now completely wiped out of your MemoryWeb account. So I'm going to cancel that because I do not want to. And I'm also going to show you here, if you wanted to actually look at these photos inside your MemoryWeb account for this group 2 here, you'd be able to click this link here and where it says view photo details. And if you click on that, it's also going to give you a note that says, hey, if you go look at these inside of MemoryWeb, if you make any changes to those photos, like let's say you go onto your account and you tag a person or you change a caption or anything like that, it is not going to be reflected in the duplicate finder until you rescan it. So it gives you just a pop-up that lets you know that. And then you would just say, okay, and then it would pop open the photos in your account. Unfortunately, the way that the Zoom works right now, I'm not going to be able to show you both tabs at the same time, but just know that you would actually see a photo with all the metadata next to it inside your MemoryWeb account. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up here, and you can see that we have our 3 files again, but we have more information now. So one thing you'll notice here is that we're going to give you just a summary that has to do with the quality of the photo. We're going to definitely manage metadata a little bit further on in this process, but when it comes to actually looking at this stage, we want you to figure out which of the files has the best quality. You can see here that we've recommended one. We said it's possibly the best file, and you can see what the file name is for each one of these. You can see the resolution, you can also see the photo size and the photo type and the date created. So if you had, photo here, this is a very clear distinction that this is bigger than the other 2. You can see that and choose this file. But if you have a file that is very similar and one is a TIFF and one is a JPEG, you are going to want to preserve the TIFF because it's just a higher, it tends to be a higher resolution, and it also tends to not deteriorate over time. So we'll give you the information that you need to know at this stage to be able to choose the file that is the best one in terms of the structure. So one thing else I'm going to show you here is if you wanted just to take a sneak peek at what the metadata is inside these files at this point, you could click up here and see all the metadata. And then you can scan down and you can see all the metadata in any of these files. I'm going to click that off. And then one other thing that I was going to show at this stage is, let's say you had one of these photos of the 3 was one that you wanted to keep. Maybe one is a JPEG version, another one is like a PNG, and you wanted to keep both of those file formats for some reason. And you had another one that was a JPEG that was duplicate to the other JPEG. If this one was the PNG, let's just pretend, and I wanted to actually preserve that, I could remove it from the group and say, okay, I'm going to manage these other 2 photos and we're going to merge metadata, but we've now excluded this one file that I want to keep intact from that group. And if I want to add it back, I can add it back right there. So now, and if I want to go back to the groups, I go back to the groups to work with a different group. Now I'm going to show you how to excuse me, I actually need to select the file here. I'm choosing the best file. Now I'm going to show you how to actually add the metadata. Okay, so we've chosen the best resolution file, or at least the one I wanted to keep on the previous stage. And now I get to choose what metadata I want to keep or add. So here, I'm going to look at the caption section, and I see that I have 2 captions to choose from. So when we're looking at this group of 3 photos, all the metadata across all 3 of those files is going to be available to us. So that if there's a person from one file and a caption from another that we want to keep, we can actually combine those. Or we can add new. If you had a file that had no caption whatsoever and you actually wanted to make one, or you didn't like the captions that you had, you could just create your own new caption from this area right here. I'm going to go ahead and choose this engagement party at the farm caption. The next thing I'm going to see here is the file name. And so I have 2 different file names, Bader Kids and engagement here. And I'm going to go ahead and choose engagement. And the reason why we have 2 is because they have the same name on 2 of those files. Then for location, we have 2 very similar ones. You can see in one, I have the full location, and one I have a more abbreviated location. I'm just going to have the longer one. And if I wanted to actually create a brand new location, just like in MemoryWeb, I could come in here and I could search and add a new location, or use one of the ones that's existing in my account right now. You can also change your file name. I forgot to mention that as well. So if you wanted to use a different file name, you could edit that here as well. Now let's go to the date created, and I have lots of different options. I know that it was not 2019 for sure, and I'm going to choose the 1944 option because I think that one is right. But if I didn't think any of these are right, or if I had a photo or a group of photos that didn't have any date metadata, I could come down here and update that. So I could either do an exact date, or I could do an approximate date, which is a year or maybe a month in a year. So I have that flexibility here as well. So I'm going to choose this 1944 date. And then I'm going to go into the people section. And you can see I have a lot of people because this was a group photo. And I'm going to go ahead and choose the people that were tagged to this across possibly different photos. And you can see that I have 2 contacts that say imported after them. And that's actually a feature that means that, excuse me, when one or more of the files came in to MemoryWeb, they had already contained some metadata for people. And when we bring those in, we put a designation next to those and say imported. We have a whole blog on it on our website if you want to read about how we do that and how to manage that type of information. But I just want to explain what that was in case you were wondering. So I'm going to go ahead and click done. But once again, these are very flexible fields. So if somebody was missing from the photo that you now have identified and you wanted to add them, you could do that here. And that would be both for people that have already been existing in your account, or you could create a brand new contact if they didn't exist in your account previously. So I'm going to go ahead and click done here. And then you can see I have those people added. I have a few keywords that were already added to my file. Or already available to me. So I am going to keep those, but if I didn't want either of these words, I could get rid of them by clicking the X. I can also add a new keyword if I wanted to right here. And then this is the section where you have your albums. So I'm going to go ahead and select the albums that this was already tagged to. But once again, if I wanted to create a new album or add it to an existing album that is already in my account, I can go ahead and do that here as well. And then I'm going to say done. And now that we've managed all the different fields of metadata, I'm going to say done editing. And we're going to come to this area which has a confirmation. So it'll let you know the metadata that you've chosen to keep in that file in terms of the MemoryWeb tags. And then you can see underneath here, we also have information like the XF information. This has camera information, GPS information, all that stuff that was in the file that we decided to keep, that higher resolution file. So I'm good with what we've chosen here. I've done my review, everything's good. If for some reason you wanted to make a change at this stage, you could just click back and go back and make that. But I'm good with this, so I'm going to say confirm. And then before it actually takes the other 2 files from this group, because we had 3 to work with to start with, before it removes those, it's just going to make sure that you are ready to do that and confirm that. And I'm going to say yes because I'm ready. And then we're going to delete that now. And this will just take a few moments to actually, remove the 2 files and then also combine the metadata that we selected into the file that we chose to keep. So it will just take a second here, bear with me. And then I can show you the results page of what you would get. And I see we definitely have some questions too that I will get to in a moment because I'm almost done. So you can see here, group number 2. This is now combined into just one file, the higher resolution file that we decided to keep. It has our metadata. We'd be able to check that out by going in here. It will also just be in our account naturally if you're in your account, but if you want to just do a double check, you could click it right here, which once again, I apologize that I can't show you that easily through the Zoom. But one thing that I want to also point out is that if for some reason you perform that merge and then you realize, oh no, shoot, I did not actually want to do that. You could, while this session is still open, which means that you don't close the uploader, you don't log out, while this is still a live session, you can actually click undo and just take a few seconds here. And then all those changes that we made, you can see now we have our 3 photos back. So that's kind of a safety net there, just in case you decided that you wanted to take a little more time and do something different with those photos. So thank you for listening to my sneak peek preview here of this feature. And I'm going to go over to the chat now, and I'm going to answer any questions that you guys have posted. So give me a second here to read through. Okay, I'm going to start at the top here. What file types can you upload? Will MemoryWeb be able to compare different file types of the same photo? Yes. So if you have a JPEG and a TIFF and maybe multiple JPEGs and a TIFF of the same photo, it will tell you when you actually open up, I'll open up this group again here, what type of file it is. So photo type right here says JPEG, but you will, depending on what you've uploaded, you could also see a TIFF or multiple TIFFs here as well. Hopefully that answers that. Let's see. Oh, and thank you, Scott, for the file types. I very much appreciate that. Let's see, Meredith, question. And I'm sure it's not a dumb question. Okay, so you say it looks very cool. Why would you want to use this program, for example, versus Amazon Photos, Google Photos, Apple Photos? This is your first time. Yeah, that's not a dumb question at all. It's a great question. So really, there's different products that can work for different folks depending on what you're trying to do with it. But one of the things that we think people find most valuable about MemoryWeb is the fact that we try to help you keep as much metadata intact with your photos as possible. So for example, even, and I do actually have a presentation on this at RootsTech, so if you're interested, check it out. You can actually take photos out of Google Photos and they'll give you metadata, which is really cool as a sidecar file. But it's really hard to actually use that information in a way that is meaningful because it's separate from the file itself. You can actually take that, and when you bring those photos and also the metadata into MemoryWeb, we will actually combine that information from Google Photos and actually create tags and usable metadata. So we just try to make sure that we preserve as much work going into it. We give you easy tools to edit, facial recognition, and also the ability to bulk tag lots of photos. And then on the export side, making sure that all of your work can stay intact. So anything that you've added or we've added for you through the upload process stay as part of your photos. So hopefully that helps. Becky Richards, is the metadata able to be exported in one mass file type such as Excel? So it actually gets imported inside the files themselves because that way they're like little self-contained vehicles that will transport the metadata from platform to platform. And there's more and more platforms that are actually using metadata, especially in the family history industry. There's a great presentation actually at RootsTech on that from the Family History Metadata Working Group. So yeah, that's what our program does. Let's see. Is this comparing only the images in the online data or also the files in the local directory under the uploader? So it will compare all the photos that are in your MemoryWeb account. So if you had 50,000 photos in your MemoryWeb account, it will compare all 50,000 of those photos. Let's see, next question. If you add a lot of metadata, does it make the photo size larger? It can, and that's where you can, if you're really concerned about evaluating which is the best photo. You can also look at the other criteria. So like, what's the resolution? And you can look at the dimensions. You can look at the file type and make your decision. You can also go into the actual photos by opening up your account and seeing which one looks crisper. But that is a really great question. Can I transfer my Picasa files to yours, keeping all my photo ID intact? Excuse me. You know what, that's a great question. I don't know that anybody has done a test with Picasa files to see if they actually have imported with the metadata. If they have metadata in the IPTC and XMP fields, in the appropriate fields, they should come in theory. I'd really love to know, Mel and Deanna, if you do that, if you know how everything comes in. So if you do that, definitely keep me posted. I'd love to know. Meredith, oh, thank you. Thanks. How do you get your photos into MemoryWeb? So you would open up an account and then you can upload them through this tool that we showed you here in the upload section. You can also upload directly into the web app from your computer. You can sync with Dropbox or Family Search and Google Drive. And yeah, there's lots of different ways to get your photos in. And also, if you have an iOS device or an Android, we have apps for those as well, and you can get your photo galleries in there as well. Let's see. If I have documents and photo types like JPEG, would it ID those as duplicates too? Yes, it would. It's a great question. Ken, thank you. Does your program have facial recognition? Yes, it does, Todd. And let's see, L. Bennett. It's just let me in late finally. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there a cost to the program, Eugenia Grove? Thank you very much. So there is a cost to the program. We have a free trial, so anybody can take out a free trial, and we do not collect credit card information up front. So it truly is a free trial for 2 weeks. Excuse me. After that, we offer monthly and annual accounts, and we actually have some pretty good promos going on right now as part of our booth. So definitely check those out if you're interested. But we always encourage folks to try the free trial. If you're not sure if it's a system that works for you, test it out and see how things work for you and your photos. And Cecile, I've used MemoryWeb with newspaper articles that I've downloaded. Oh, cool. That's great. That's great to hear about that. Okay. Well, I think, oh, wait, one more question. What is the best way to upload old photos without any information, photos with unknown names and dates? So I'm assuming that you have them scanned and most likely in TIFF format, because that's the kind of the best preservation format. And then after that, I would say one tip that I would give you is if you have a decent amount of those, and you've organized those into folders on your computer, I would use the tool here, but in the upload section. And I would go here and I would find those folders of photos. And the really great thing about that is that when you bring photos into your account this way, the last 2 folders that you have your photos nested under, so let's say you have them organized by year, like 1950s, and then by activity like Thanksgiving, those photos are going to come into your account with an album called 1950s Thanksgiving, just to help make it easier in terms of the upload process. Let's see. Oh, Chris Desmond. I think it's important to mention that this demo is just one feature that's part of the bigger MemoryWeb application. Yes. So MemoryWeb is a photo manager and metadata manager, photo organizer and metadata managers, and we have all kinds of cool things, not just related to adding metadata. We have family trees, we have personal profiles that you can see every photo that's associated with a person, and their albums and the locations. We have an interactive world map for your photos. It's a really interactive, fun platform. And there's a lot to it. So this is just one specific feature we've been working on for a while to help our users out who have found that they have tons of duplicates, and we wanted to make it easy and also let them keep metadata. So that's, thank you, Chris. Thank you for mentioning that. Okay, well, unless anybody else has any other questions, I think that we are all set. I'm getting the warning that we have 10 minutes left on the meeting. So let's see, we've got one more comment here. Cecile. Now I can upload them and sort out this. Oh, great. Thank you. That's a really nice comment. And that's really what we want this for. We want it to be easy and help you find those duplicates, because we all have them. We all definitely have them. And then be able just to pick the ones you want to keep, and then add, make sure you have the data associated with those. John, great question. When is this feature available? We are in the final stages of beta testing right now. So I can't give you an exact estimate, but very, very soon. We haven't found anything significant recently, so pending any other bugs that we catch, we should be rolling it out very, very soon. But if you are not currently a subscriber to our MemoryWeb newsletter, sign up. You can sign up on our website, and it will we send it out monthly, and it will give you information whenever we have a significant new feature that's released. Our social media will as well, but if you sign up for the newsletter, you'll hear about all kinds of things. Is there a maximum amount of photos? Great question, Bill. So right now our plans accommodate up to 1 terabyte of photos. That's around 500,000, give or take, depending on how big your files are. And we have not had anybody who's actually hit that mark. We have lots of people who have hundreds of thousands of photos. But we, in the upload process itself, we also do have the ability to flag photos that appear identical. So we kind of catch it on both sides. And so it turns out that people who have thought that they would exceed that amount really actually haven't yet. But we would love to find the account that actually does go over 1 terabyte and see, what is unique about that, because I'm sure people have that. So we are excited for the day that happens. Okay, well, I think unless anybody else has any other questions, then I think we're good. And for the one person, I forgot your name, who said that you came in late, I believe that, I know I'm recording this, and I believe that it will be available on the site, so that if there's any information that you missed and you wanted to look at, you could do that. And definitely feel free to chat with us on our exhibit page. We are always happy to answer any questions that you have. So thank you guys so much for attending, and I hope you have a great rest of your conference.